international law perspective. Reminder, 1, there is no any emotional story inside. It's very rational. And second, due to the time and scope limitation, I can only focus on the 2022 war between Russia and Ukraine from an international law perspective. First of all, I separate the outlines into 4 parts: introduction, also background on the conflict, and simple sources of international law. Then second, we'll move on to discussion if Russia's invasion in Ukraine has its legal ground. Then the third one would be, is there any action that the other states can do under the structure of international law? Then we'll move on to the conclusion. On February 24th, 2022, the missiles were launched and the tanks just pulling in the land in Ukraine. Vladimir Putin, the president of Russia, just decided this, and it caused, until yesterday, 3 million of people become refugees. So, in this situation, why do we need to understand international law? We can go back to the history of 1945. Russia, which is the successor of the USSR, Soviet, and it got the permanent seat in United Nations. Thus, it has the binding force on the international law, also the UN Charter. The first question, is Russia's invasion in Ukraine legal? Let's look on Russia's claim. First of all, Putin says it's executing the peacekeeping formation, and it tried to save the human beings in Ukraine from the rise of Nazis. So he claims so. However, these two statements has no legal force because, first of all, the peacekeeping must be authorized by the UN resolution, which is passed by the UN General Assembly. And second, the humanitarian intervention must be passed the UN Security Council. Just like the 1992 Somalia case that the US raised some of the resolution to help the famine. So, all in all, Putin has no legal binding and no legal ground on this armed force in Ukraine. Moreover, Putin has already breached the legal ground and the core value of UN Charter, also the international humanitarian law. The first one, the UN Charter, has a very important spirit, that is to keep and protect the territorial integrity of states. However, Putin has just sent the missiles and sent the troops into the other sovereignty, which is illegal. And the second one is international humanitarian law. Both Russia and Ukraine are the members who agreed the 1949 four Geneva Conventions, which has the principle of distinction. It's called 区分原则. It means when during the conflict and war, you need to separate the military targets from the civilian targets. However, Putin just boomed the maternity and children's hospital, which is strictly violating the international humanitarian law. So all in all, we will say there is no any legal ground from Putin's war. The next question, some may ask, during this time, under the structure of international law, how can the other states do? There might be 4 actions that is commonly discussed. The first one is peacekeeping. Under UN Charter of Article 24, the the states can maintain and try to preserve the international peace and security by sending the peacekeeping troops and peacekeeping team, just like the several resolutions made. However, this is not possible. The reason is Russia is one of the permanent member in the UN, which has the veto power, so this can never gonna happen. And the second one is the sanction, which has been made recently by European countries and the US. It is under the Article 39 and 41. So these measures can be taken to sanctions economically and politically. So this one is doable. How about the third one? Can we send any troops or military into Russia? No, it's not possible. The reason is the same. Russia has the veto power, so this can never happen. And the other one, some may claim that NATO, 北大西洋公约组织, they can assist each other and use the armed force. However, unfortunately, Ukraine is not a party of NATO. Then let's move on to the last one, which is the most important one, that is self-defense. Under UN Charter 51, the states have the authentic right of individual or collective self-defense. That means Ukraine can seek the assistance from the other member states to help them to do the self-defense. So we have the conclusion. First of all, Putin has no any legal ground on the war to Ukraine. And second, although we have little thing under the current international law structure, we still need all the states to work together to pursue this international law, because the peace is the common good for all the states. And Taiwan is not a member of UN, so what we can do is to donate. And as human beings, please pray for Ukraine. Thank you.